It's me, Mario. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's Mr. Cockabrenner. Today, what we're going to be doing is solving quadratic functions, solving with the quadratic formula. Hey, quick joke for you guys. What do baby parabolas drink? Quadratic formula. Get it? Formula, babies? No? Okay. So, anyways, with that being said, the quadratic formula, what is it? It's a solution. So if you look right here, we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So this is putting it in standard form, right? And as you can see, we have an a, b, and a c. Those are our coefficients. A is the coefficient of the quadratic term, the x squared. B is the quadratic or the linear coefficient. And c is going to be my constant. And we're going to put it in this crazy formula right here. It looks pretty intense, but guess what? You see the secret that I have over here? Yeah, that's called Desmos. If you haven't realized, we love it here at THS and Algebra 1. It's going to be one of your best friends from here on out of high school, and it's going to do a lot of work for us today. So we're going to take the opposite of b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. The opposite of b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Yep, that's the Addams family, okay? So it's the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Again, I'm going to give you a secret here. You're going to have to pay attention and follow along. I'm going to show you the shortcut with Desmos, all right? But the very first step, as you can see right here, is to do what? Put it in standard form. We used to have a y over here, but what do we say we did to y's now? Because we're solving, we're setting it equal to 0 because we want to be on the x-intercepts. That's why they're called x-intercepts, solutions, roots, answers, whatever you want to call them, all right? So number one is get it in standard form, and then we're going to use the quadratic formula to solve the quadratic. So again, we've talked about factoring, we've talked about graphing, we've talked about square roots, completing the square, and now we're going to give you quadratic formula too. So ready? Let's jump into it. You can't really see this example right now. There we go. 11k squared plus 4k minus 52 equals 10k squared minus 7. Of course, everyone's like, oh, you make it look so easy because you do the easy problems. This doesn't look very easy. What's the first thing we need to do? Right? We need to put it in standard form. What is standard form? Highest degree to lowest degree to constant. Set it equal to 0. So I'm going to keep my k squared as positive. So I'm going to subtract 10k from this side, or 10k squared, and subtract 10k from the left, because whatever I do to the left or right, I do to the left. So now I'm going to get k squared, because 11 minus 10 gets me 1k squared, right? And then do I have any k's besides this 4k, positive 4k? Nope. So that's going to go next. And then I have this negative 7 that I need to move over here. What's the opposite of negative 7? Positive 7. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And negative 52 plus 7, that flashcard is negative 45. And now that I did my standard form, I need to know my ABCs. Do, re, mi, ABC. 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me. Right? So what's my A value here? So my A value is what's in front of k squared. Well, that's 1. What's my B values in front of my k? I know we have x's and k's, but don't worry about that. We're going to put in, Desmos likes x's, so we're going to change these k's to x's anyways. But we're going to treat them the same way anyway. It's just a variable. And then C is negative 45. So what I'm going to do now is plug it in to the quadratic formula, which I have right here. Again, with Desmos, I'm going to show you a trick. Okay, this is where you're going to want to pay attention and really follow along. So the very first thing I'm going to do, all right, is take the opposite, there's my negative, of B. So I'm going to use parentheses here. Actually, you know what? Before I do all that, I'm going to start with a parenthesis. So scratch that. Ready? Let me start over. Let's go parenthesis, because I want to do the top first. Negative parenthesis plus the square root of parenthesis squared minus 4 times A times C. I'm going to use that last parenthesis here. And then hit divided by 2 parentheses. So what I just did, and Felly, I'm listening to you. I know you want that split screen. So what I'm trying to show you is that this formula now, all we need to do is plug in our answers. Okay? So what I like to do is I'm going to highlight this, copy it, and then paste it in here. See how quick that was? I didn't have to do it again. But remember, see how this plus or minus combo is right here? I'm going to delete this plus and put a minus there. And now I have the plus the radical and then subtract the radical, because that's what that plus or minus means. It's the left side and the right side. Okay? So now, when I go back to my problem, I have 1, 4, and negative 45. All right? So my A value is 1, my B value is 4, my C value is negative. Let me just write over here. My A value is 1. My B value was, I already forgot, 4. And then my C value was negative 45. So when I plug in here, I can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go off of here. What goes in the first parentheses is B. So that's 4, because here's my B is 4. And then what goes in the second set of parentheses, again, it's going to be 4. Negative 4, what goes in this set of parentheses right here is the A value. So that's going to be 1. What goes in this value here? C, so that's negative 45. And then it's all over 2A. What's my A value is 1. And guess what? Desmos does it all for me. All right, what did I get for my answer? I got 5. So one of my answers is 5. That was the positive one. Remember how I have this positive right here? That's the right arm. What's the left arm is the negative. Again, I'm just going to put in the exact same information. You could actually copy this one, right? Copy what you just did, if I can copy it all. Hit copy, and I'm actually going to get rid of this one and paste it. And instead of what? Instead of that positive value, I'm going to subtract here. And I get my other answer. The left arm is negative 9. So I just found out my solutions by using the quadratic formula, and that was just basically plugging it in, okay? So I'm going to do that one more time, don't worry. So my next problem says 6v squared plus 6 equals negative 2v. What's my first thing I need to do? Put it in standard form. Is v squared first? Yep. So that's good. Oops. What's my next thing I have to do? I need to move negative 2v to the other side. Does that combine with anything? Nope, but it goes in front of the constant 3. And if you notice, I didn't say it. What's the opposite of negative 2? Positive 2v, right? So it's negative 2v on the right. It's going to be positive 2v on the left. And of course, we're going to set this equal to 0. And now we know our ABCs. What's our A? Our A value is 6. Our B value is in front of the linear term. And our C value, A is 2 and C is 3. So I'm going to use this formula again. I'm going to show you one more time in Desmos what that looks like. I'm just going to delete these. So again, we're going to take the numerator. So I'm going to put a parenthesis minus parenthesis, parenthesis. That's my b value. The plus is in front of that radical. So now it's parenthesis, parenthesis, squared, minus 4a, c, divided by 2a. So now that I have my values here, 6, 2, and 3, what I'm going to do is plug in here. I'm going to check my work right here. It's the opposite of b, so what's my b value? It's 2. I can see it's right here. So I type in 2. And this is b squared, so that's 2 again. What value is this? It says a, so that's going to be 6. My c value is 3. And then all over 2a, so my a value again is 6. And it says it's undefined. Ooh, what does that mean? That's a good thing. That means there's no solutions because it doesn't touch the x-axis. So that undefined means that there's going to be a negative underneath the radical. And if you recall, we can't take the square root of a negative value because no number times itself will ever get you a negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and a positive times a positive is a positive. So with that being said, we're done with this problem. Kind of nice, right? What do we do here? First step is standard form, so let's standard form this puppy. Again, I like to keep my quadratic term positive, so I'm going to move everything else to that side, which is this positive 4 and this positive 7n. Which one do you want to move first? The linear term, because we're going to put it in order. So what's the opposite of positive 7n? Negative 7n. What's the opposite of positive 4? Negative 4. And now we set it equal to 0 because we moved these two terms from the right to the left. So now I look at my ABCs, my A, my B, and my C. My A value is with the n squared, so that's 9. My B value is with the n, so that's negative 7. And then my C value is negative 4. Any questions on how I got there? Let's see if I snuck this one over here. My B value is negative 7, so I think I've already done this. Did I do this yet? No. However, I put these in. So my B value goes here, which was negative 7. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to copy this just to save me some time. So I copy this, paste it here, and I'm going to do that left bracket here. All right, so the opposite of B, what's my B value is negative 7 plus B squared. So if I go to this frame here, we can see our quadratic formula if we need it. Let me get to organize real quick. Got to copy down my 9, negative 9, negative 4. Oops. 9, negative 7, and negative 4. This is my A, my B, and my C. So my B value still goes right here, and that's negative 7 times negative 4. A goes here, C goes here, and then A goes in the bottom. And I get this crazy number right here. Why is this so crazy? Because what's underneath the radical is not a pretty square rootable number. So what's underneath here, I can show you. I think that's why this was like this. Maybe not. What I need to do is take what's underneath the radical, which was this junk over here, and I need to calculate it. So this b squared minus 4ac, I'm actually going to do this first. Sorry. I'm going to have to multiply this, and I'm going to get a crazy number under the radical that's not square rootable, if that's a real word. So what's underneath there? I'm just going to copy this. Actually, yeah. I need to calculate what this is, so I'm going to just hit Control, maybe. Now I'm going to paste that in there. And I get what's under the radicals 196. So what that means over here on our work is that this is plus radical 196, which is not a pretty number. It's close to radical 193 or 196, which is 14. However, what do we still have in front? We have this opposite of 7, right? So what's the opposite of 7? Negative 7, I mean, is positive 7. And then what's 2 times 18, or 2 times 9? I'm telling you the answer is 18. Okay, so this number looks pretty ridiculous. And you know what? It is pretty ridiculous. However, when I type that in to Desmos here, what's going to happen? Clear this out. What is 7 plus radical 193? Oops, I'm up here. Radical 193. And then let me put this in parentheses because that's the numerator. Divided by, said it was 18. I get that same answer, right? So what does that mean? That these are equivalent. This crazy 7 plus radical 193 divided by 18 is this irrational decimal, okay? And of course, what do we have to do? That's the right side. How do you know it's the right side? It's the positive side. So what I have to do is do the left side. How do I make it the left side? I take this and make it minus. So I get this crazy decimal. So there's my plus and my minus. So my two answers, I know they seem pretty wild out there, is the exact same thing, essentially. This is the left because it's negative. This is the right arm because it's positive. All right. And you know that this number, negative 0.3829135, is negative. So that's on the left. And then the right is the 1.16 because it's positive. How about this problem? We have b squared minus 4b plus 4. So what do I have to do? Put it in standard form. Hey, guess what? I picked one that was already in standard form. So I get my a value is what? My a value is 1b squared, so it's 1. So a is 1. My b was negative 4. And my c value was positive 4. So when I go here into my Desmos, I already have it hooked up, I think. Yep. What's my b value? Negative 4. That goes on the radical first as well. 4ac, so this is my a value first, is 1. My c value is 4. And again, I've already queued these up for the video, so you can copy and paste when you do it the first time into Desmos, or just delete these as you go along. And then my a value again was 1. So I get 2 as my answer, and this is the plus radical. So now I also have to do the minus radical, so I'm just going to put the same information in. Or you know what? It's actually probably faster if you just change this, right? That plus sign goes to a negative sign, and we get 2. So this is a double root of 2, or just one solution. What's that one solution? 2. So again, if you look here, we have a 1 solution, which is the special vertex, right? That extreme value. Here, we had 2 solutions, ugly numbers. We're going to leave them radicals, but they're also equivalent to those crazy decimals we had. This didn't have any because we can't have a negative on the radical, so this was no solutions. And then this, we had 2 solutions, our 5 and our -9. So you can see that we're still getting those combos of the 2 solutions, 1 solutions, and no solutions as we go through, no matter how we solve. And I know this seems kind of complex just because that formula is pretty wild, but if we use Desmos and we already have this stuff built in for us, and you can watch the video again to make sure you know how to do that, and just keep copying and pasting that, maybe open a few Desmos like I have going on right now to help you out. All right, so now we're going to talk discriminant. What's the importance of the discriminant? The discriminant tells us how many solutions there are. And if you notice, here's our quadratic formula. We're only focusing on what's underneath that radical, okay? What's underneath that radical? So the deal is, if there are 2 solutions, 1, 2, the number is going to be what? Greater than 0. If there's 1 solution, my discriminant is equal to 0. And if it's less than 0, that means it doesn't touch the x-axis. So I know it says 2 imaginary solutions. That's going to be Algebra 2 stuff. This is just for Algebra 1, no solutions, because it doesn't touch the x-axis, okay? So it's either 2, 1, or none. If it's 2 solutions, the discriminant, that b squared minus 4ac, is greater than 0. If it equals 0, it's 1 solution. And if it doesn't, or if it's less than 0, we're going to get no solutions. That's when we got that undefined for that one answer. So let's check it out. Again, the same rules apply. What do we need to do? We need to make sure that these are in standard form. And I'm just going to show you the same problems we just did. Subtract 10k squared. You get k squared. We didn't have anything over here for that plus 4k to combine with. I remember that much. And then this positive or -7 turns into +7, and we get -45. And we moved everything from the right to the left to set it equal to 0. Now, what's it asking us to do here? It's asking us b squared minus 4ac. So again, it's parenthesis squared minus 4 times 2 sets of parentheses. And I believe I've already done that in Desmos as well. Right there. So I go, just to copy what I did, parenthesis, square, minus 4, parenthesis. What goes in the top? B. What's our B value here? Let's just do our ABCs real quick as well. Here's my A, here's my B, here's my C. My A value is 1, because it's, again, the coefficient for the quadratic term, the k squared. My B is 4, and then my C is -45, because that's my constant. So when I go to plug in here, what goes first? It's b squared. So my b value is 4 times -4 AC. So what's my A value? Punch in a 1, and I multiply that by -45, and I get a positive 196. Positive is key, because if you recall, if it's greater than 0, how many solutions are there? 2 solutions. And guess what? We got 2 solutions. They were 5 and I believe -9 or something like that. But we get 2 solutions. That's all it's telling me. It's not giving me the values, but I know if this discriminant's positive, I'm going to get 2 solutions. So again, let's go here. 6v squared plus 2v plus 3 equals 0. What did I do? I may move -2v to the other side, put it in order, known as standard form, and now I'm just going to go in here and check it out. I'm going to leave that problem there. I'm going to copy this and paste it in there. Just kidding. Copy and paste. Do it one more time, just so I have other problems I can put in here. Again, ABCs, what's my A? A is 6, my B is 2, and my C is 3. And again, I'm just using the coefficients in front of my quadratic term, my linear term, and now my constant. And I just plug that in here. This is my b squared. I have my formula written down here. I'm showing you where it's coming from, up there. So my b value here is 2. My a value is 6, and my c value is 3. So I get negative 68. What happens if it's negative? If you don't remember, I'm going to go back 2 slides and show you. If it's less than 0, I get no solutions. That means it doesn't touch the x-axis. So we know that this is no solutions. All right? Here, I think this was our crazy answer with that 193, radical 193. I'm just going to move this over here. And I'm going to get 8 x squared. Add 11 to both sides because I'm moving negative 11 from the right to the left. And I get negative 3 equals 0. Maybe I didn't do this problem. However, if I look at it, what happens here? I have my a value of 8, my b value of 0, and my c value of negative 3. Okay, why is the b value 0? Because there's no x term. So when I go to plug this in, how many solutions does this have? It's the b squared, so make sure that we get that. So this is 0 squared. A is 8. C is negative 3. I get a positive 96. So how many solutions does that have? If it's positive, we know it's going to have 2 solutions. I don't know those 2 solutions specifically, but I know that it's going to be positive, or that the discriminant's positive, so I know it's going to have 2 solutions. I think that was the ugly one. However, now we're here. This one was in standard form, so it's a quick one. A equals 1, B equals negative 4, and C equals 4. And again, these are just variables. It doesn't matter, the B, the X. Cool? We like to put them in X's and decimals. So again, the B squared goes first. What's my B value? Is negative 4. My A value is 1. And my C value is 4. And I get a discriminant value of 0. What does 0 mean? It means I have 1 solution. I know it says 0, but remember in our notes back here, a discriminant equal to 0 means that it's a special case, that the extreme value, that minimum for this specific parabola, the vertex is on the x-axis. This doesn't happen very often. That's why it's kind of a rare case, and that's why that is a surprise 0. All right. Last problem. I know this is a long video. Sorry. There's a lot going on here, and I think we need to take our time. The manager of a dog park enclosed an area for small dogs to play. He made the length 15 feet longer than the width and enclosed the area of 1,350 square feet. What are the dimensions of the dog's playground or play area? So you have your length times width, giving you your area. We know that he made the length 15 feet longer than the width. The width is just going to be W, and we know that this is going to be 1350. So now if I just distribute, I get W squared, because W times W is W squared. W times 15 is positive 15W equals 1350. I can move this over and do W squared plus 15W. Because what are we doing? We're setting everything equal to 0 to solve. So that positive 1350 goes to the left. And now, to be honest with you, what we can do, we don't even have to solve with the quadratic formula. We could always just plug it into what? Graph it, right? So let's plug it into Desmos and just graph it. I don't see it yet, so I'm just going to zoom out. I'm going to get my answers here as negative 45 and 30. Here's the only issue. Because we are in context with a word problem, we can't have a negative length. So our lengths are always going to be positive. And again, this is your negative 45 turns into positive 45. And that's going to be your length. And your width was the shorter length, or the shorter distance, I should say. And that gives you your 30. All right. So again, we can't have a negative length. So I know that this does say negative 45. But again, since it's describing a length, it's going to turn to a positive. And of course, you know what time it is. It's time for the best slide. What's the best slide? The last slide. So again, the quadratic formula is a very, very unique formula. It's kind of a intense formula, the opposite of b, plus or minus square root, b squared minus 4ac, all over 2a. Again, it's going to be posted for you, so no big deal. You have these notes to use for your test as well. But other than that, if you like it, subscribe, thumbs up. Again, I know this is a long one. My apologies. Go Browns. It's late.